equated the mobility plan with as a bike plan, right? And if you read the LA Times or whatever, they equated the same thing too, right?
It's an unfriendly bike plan.
But actually, it's more than a bike plan. It's a pedestrian.
Unfriendly.
Yeah, well, it's a whole about the region, and it's a visioning document. So everybody in the council said, you know, it's all about the community. We want it for pedestrian safety. We want to get community input. We're worried about public safety. We want emergency response. So I simply said, there's a lot of concerns from my district, which I want to vet out with you later on. And they said, we'll give you a time to vet it out in committee later because we need to pass this document because of the time constraint. So I wanted to vote no, but at the same time I said, okay, so if it's all about community, in the front, when you first open it, like on page 12, after all the pictures are done, it outlines the principles of the visioning document about what this is for. And there's like about maybe 10 bullet points. And it talks about, you know, all these things, but it fails to mention community input as a priority, asking the community, and public safety, emergency response and all of that as a priority. So I said, if we all agree, and the Department of Transportation and all the departments are saying, we're going to make sure community input's the highest priority, and we're going to make sure emergency response and public safety is a high priority, why don't we say it in the front? So I said, if you can't even include those 2 points, I can't vote for this document. I have other concerns throughout the document, but I'll agree with the city council to work out it on another day. But if you can't state what you say you're going to do in the main points, then I'm not going to vote for it. So they reject. There was about 10 amendments that was introduced. My amendment was the only one that got accepted. So they changed the document, and then so I voted for it. But we're gonna take it up again so we could go through the details.
This nice lady, then Ackerman, then Fogler.
Yeah.
Can you talk to the group about any plans to de-mansionize our community?
Yes, I don't know, and it didn't include Van Nuys, but and again, it was fast moving. One of the campaign pledges that I had was I was opposed to mansionization. And it's not I'm opposed to it, the community's opposed to it. And I'm responding to the community. And one of the first motions we did was I don't know if you guys know about the interim control ordinance. So mansionization exists because the city council tried to rein the mansionization, you know, where people buy a lot with a small house, they demolish it and they build a huge house, limit to limit. So the city council took a first crack at it and created a baseline mansionization ordinance to put some restrictions on it. It worked overall, but it turned out there was a lot of loopholes, right? Like if you do some sort of things, you get all these density bonuses, and you still could build it big. So what the city council is trying to do is we're trying to update the baseline mansionization ordinance to get rid of all those loopholes. It's going to take about 12 to 18 months to do that. So while we're waiting for that to be done, a lot of communities got together and said, we need something done now. So there's a thing called the interim control ordinance, which puts a temporary stop immediately. Now, a lot of communities got it, like Studio City got it, you know, various communities throughout the city got it, but not all communities got it. And many communities in Council District 4, like Sherman Oaks, wasn't involved. So Sherman Oaks wanted it immediately. There were several areas in the short span. I told you we had a really busy month. In the first 2 weeks, we were able to include Brookside, which is down in the Miracle Mile area. What's the other? Do you remember the third area, Alice? Sherman Oaks, Brookside, and one more community. We got them to be included in the ICO. Well, it's not fully done yet, but we introduced a motion to stop that mansionization. It didn't include, it got about 2/3 of Sherman Oaks, not all of Sherman Oaks, so it didn't come up to Van Nuys. But I think your area is included as well. But so,
Does it also include the building of multi-family dwellings, or is it just for single family? Just for single family. Yeah, and I know we're trying to work with you on that issue. And yeah, so there's various multiple issues. There's in the residential R1 zones, that's where the mansionization occurs. And then there's subdivisions, so that's another issue we got to deal with. And if you live on the hillsides, there's another issue. So there's multiple issues that we're trying to tackle one by one. But right now we're trying to get going.
Jason Ackerman.
Hi, Councilman Rue, welcome back.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. So I was glad that you guys were in Van Nuys on Friday. It was great to see you all in action.
He's for the video.
But I really would have liked to be able, and I really am passionate about the mobility plan. I'm actually probably one of the people who's actually read it cover to cover. The word skateboard appears once in the intro and never again in the plan. So that's one thing. I touched on that in my public comment, but I really would have liked to be able to testify on Tuesday, but I have work. And I don't know if you're aware, but we used to have video conference here at Van Nuys City Hall. And if you want to bring the government to the people, that would be a good starting point to bring that back, because it really doesn't cost the city that much money. I think, like, the city gave away, the operating budget to a development deal, in Hollywood. So it would really be a small expenditure on the city's behalf, and a really huge investment for the valley. So we could comment on these kind of major policies without having to schlep down first thing in the morning, on a weekday to downtown. We have a perfectly viable option over here. So will you please, help us bring that back?
Actually, at the last breakfast that I had, because we have a breakfast with all the Valley Council members, because we have a meeting here at the Van Nuys City Hall every other month, right?
Yeah.
On a Friday. So we just had
That's
it.
just not
what was
enough.
it, last week?
Yeah,
Last week?
But that's not enough.
Yeah, so, and that's one of the things we talked about. We talked about different variations, right? Not just video conferencing, but then I asked, why is it every other month? So we've started a discussion. I don't wanna say, some of the ideas we came up with, because then you're gonna be like, oh, you said you're gonna do that, right? So, but we're working on that already, because
Every Friday.
I don't think every other month is enough, That's.
It used to be every month. It
I'll
used to
tell
be
you
every
that,
month.
yeah, I'll tell you every other month just seems a little, yeah.
All right, we're going Miriam and then Candido,
Okay,
and I think that'll
I'm
be it.
disabled,
Oh, and then this
it
nice
takes
lady.
2.5 hours for me to go on a bus, and her too, just a whole day, just to make a venture down there to speak for 7 minutes. And we used to have the video conferencing. Now, if we can advertise it, get more people to come, they didn't even give it a chance. They just shut it down. Because they put the money in for a security or something like that. They just created a new position to get rid of that allocated money. It was like $800 over here and $1,000 in San Pedro. And Boyarsky wants it back too. So when is it going to come? It's been already since 2007, and now this is 2015.
Something.
So that's 8 years. No, that's 2011, I'm sorry, 4 years already. How many more years? By the time I'm by the time I'm gone from this planet, if I'm gone from my existence, how long is it gonna be before we
When is she
can
leaving the
have
planet?
our government to hear? Or if I'm a very old lady or something, I don't want to have where it's really restricted, where I can't speak to my government and be able to have access to my roads, because if you're going to put all these big hurdles, and I want to get a bike, you put these big barricades along the bike paths, it's impossible to ride. I'm speaking for the bikes now, and I want to be able to have the video conferencing on so I can speak these things, and I'm being denied this right.
That's good.
Very good, very good. This nice lady here, and then Candy, and then we'll let the council member
Yeah.
wander
So,
off.
again, same thing, we've already been discussing it amongst the council members informally, and I want to make sure we do more representation in the valley. So,
Gar said he's ready to sign up on it. He's ready.
Well, here's what we'll do. A couple years ago, this council came up with the idea that every neighborhood council in the valley would split the actual cost of funding it, which would basically be about like $850 a neighborhood council. So we can resurrect that, see if the 34 valley councils will allocate $842.75 to bring it back. We'll bring back that idea. We'll see if we can get some support from Councilmember Rue.
And I'd like to be able to spend 5 minutes in behalf of
yes.
my eyes. I have issues that are very important that are coming up. I can
Miriam, are you getting a Harley? What kind of bike are you getting?
I don't know, Bob. I don't
All right.
know. I'm just gonna get
All
a
right. Hey, well, if it's a bicycle built for two, I want to be the other guy there. This lady right here.
Hi, this is actually my first time here. My name is Remy.
Welcome,
Ah,
Ron.
yeah,
Thank
that's why we came, we heard you coming.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. My boss from UCLA, he told me that I should get involved with my neighborhood council, and I'm like, oh, we have one, great. So there's some issues with public safety. Of course, as you guys know, living in Van Nuys, there's a lot of prostitution, and I'm basically calling the police every morning. Then, not too long ago, someone tried to speak to my husband as he's walking to the gas station. Not long after that, this past Saturday, he was mugged for his phone with a knife. So, you know, I call every morning, you know, with, you know, the police, and I'm saying, can you please, yes.
You're gonna get a hug.
Thank you.
You're gonna get a hug. That calls for a hug.
So, you know, of course, he's upset, you know, I'm upset, and, you know, I know this has been going on for a long time with the prostitution. So what are we doing? How can we stop it? Can we put a plan together? Can we write it down? Can we make it plain? Can we go after it with vision and focus, and let's get it out of our neighborhood? Because children, my husband, I'm not safe, and it's an issue.
Well, I'm so glad you're here today. I don't know if a representative from Councilwoman Nuri Martinez's office is here.
Guillermo.
I am, Guillermo, I know knows much more about this issue. I know it's been a huge nuisance issue. Councilwoman Nuri Martinez has made it a front and center, and you got your slopes here as well.
Oh, yeah.
This is perfect that you came here today. I'm sure they'll be getting a report later on. There is a whole, I mean, I know the councilwoman, and I've heard her speak about this. I mean, she's making this a huge issue. She's been bringing it front and center, and you know, and she's also, I'm on her committee as well, and she's for the which task? Yes. So she's all over this issue. So you'll learn a lot today. You'll get to meet your slows and talk with them, get to know them, and yeah, you know,
Check to the mail.
it's not gonna, we're not gonna be able to fix it overnight, but there is a plan. There is a plan, and I'm sure Guillermo will be talking.
Guillermo, do you want to speak to that now, or wait until we bring you up here?
I can speak, I'll wait.
Okay, cool. Candy, you want to finish it out here?
Just quickly, Mr. President, Friday you saw the disaster, all these individuals going up, and I know it's the freedom of speech, but they were using the F word, the F
That's
word,
right.
the F word. Now, I know that the city council can't do anything about it anymore, the police can't do it anymore. It could happen right here, or it could happen at the city council. There's nothing to do, but it's an embarrassment, because that's seen worldwide. I mean,
Yeah.
someone from Nebraska or Colorado said, look, is this really what happens at your neighborhood council? What are we going to do to fix that? Because I think they feel, the people that are speaking out like that feel like they're being trampled on, but yet, you know, some kind of rule has to take place in that council. What are we going to do about that, sir?
Yeah, you know, and the city council has, that's why it's unfortunate, because we have to be, it's freedom of speech. We have to be fair to everyone, right? So the council has implemented a rule where I think the maximum you could speak at a meeting is 10 minutes.
Correct.
So no matter how many issues you sign up for, the maximum you can speak is 10 minutes.
And
So
we can't limit what they say or what they say.
Right, so it's unfortunate for people who really have things to say, when all these other folks who are just there just to create a ruckus and get attention, to disrupt it, right? And that's the other, and another thing is,
Yeah, but somebody would have built
the
that.
way we change the system is we need people like you to continually get involved and not get discouraged. Because, you know, when those people come, curse, and say all these, you know, F words and just make nonsense, the actual people who come to the council meeting, the real neighbors, the real folks, they see that, get intimidated, and don't want to come again, right? So that's why we're trying, the city council has always been struggling, because you can't limit it, you can't single somebody out and say, you know what, you're always causing a problem, you can't speak anymore. Because that's infringes on your liberties, right?